Let us go to one Paul Lane, who is on line one. Of course, he is the MHA for Mount Pearl Southlands. Is that right?
That's correct, sir. How are you doing this afternoon?
Finally got it right. Good. Right. Yourself?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic, for sure. Pete, the reason why I called this afternoon, I just wanted to reference an announcement which was made by the government last week as it related to the introduction of Naloxone kits, for anyone who would overdose on various opioids.
It's a pretty successful proven antidote, right?
Fentanyl and those types of things.
Yeah.
Apparently, it is a successful antidote, and it's been done in other provinces. I think most other provinces. So,
someone told me we're the last to bring in such kits.
That was my understanding, and so I'm glad that it's happening. Because if there's something there that can save lives, then I really think we should be doing it. And my initial reaction was, when I saw the announcement, was that it was a very positive thing, and I applaud the initiative, and I still think it's a positive thing. However, I guess since that time, I've had discussions with people who would have more knowledge of this than I would, and there have been some concerns raised. I just want to put those out there for discussion, and perhaps the Minister of Health and Community Services at some point could come on your show or one of the other shows and explain it. But the concern that's been raised is that, while it's great to put these kits out there, first of all, there needs to be proper training in place so that people who, not just a person who, would be the drug user, but I guess his or her support person that may have to administer that they're given some training around the use of it, and certainly around the fact that you don't just give someone this particular administer this drug and not immediately go to an emergency, because apparently that you do need to go to an emergency after you give this drug for various medical reasons.
Well, like in other jurisdictions where no doubt they have protocol and a training system set up, we would presumably be following that. But like in those jurisdictions, some people are going to follow all of it and some people aren't.
Correct. And so, I just put it out there that I hope that's in place. Now, I did speak with some fine folks down at the AIDS Society about it, and they were assured that would be in place, and that's certainly their expectation when this rolls out to fall. So let's hope that happens, and I'll certainly be following it. But the other piece that certainly that I want to put out there is the fact that first responders, I'm told, in this province don't have the ability to administer these kits. And apparently in other provinces, like Alberta as an example, that the first responders and the EMTs and so on, they have a much more expanded scope of practice, and they can actually administer Naloxone if they come upon a case where someone has overdosed. Now, apparently here, there are some advanced paramedics, I'm told, which would only be probably half of the ambulances in the city at any given time, where somebody's there who actually is actually legally able to administer this, and in the other half of the ambulances, they don't. We have EMTs that are certainly quite capable, but they don't have the legal right to do it.
Really? So they could happen upon somebody who is in desperate need of this antidote and can't know how to give it, but wouldn't be able to because they could be charged.
That's what I have been told, is that there are certain levels of paramedics in the St. John's area, the advanced ones, who have the legal right and the ability to do it. I'm told that other paramedics that would be going around here in the city, whether it be with the fire department as paramedics or whether it be, on an ambulance, that if they went to a scene and somebody needed this drug, and they may even have it in the ambulance, but they're not allowed to actually use it and administer it, they got to bring them to the hospital, which if that's the case, and that's why I'd like clarification certainly, then that's a big problem. And
that doesn't sound...
Newfoundland, I'm told that none of the ambulances and the paramedics in rural Newfoundland would have the ability to administer it, and they probably wouldn't even have the drug in or the kit in their ambulance in any case.
But that's something, surely, I mean, all common sense points to that's something that would be addressed and brought in as the kits become available. Surely if the people who are furnished with kits can administer it to themselves and perhaps a family member, then a medical professional with far more training and understanding of how these things go would be able to do it, wouldn't be prevented from doing so just because of the legislation not covering them.
Well, Pete, I'm just going by the information that I was provided, and I would certainly ask the minister to provide clarification.
Okay. Well, who's telling you that this is...
Well, I've spoken to people who are, I guess, paramedics, people that are in that field. Obviously, they don't want to get in trouble, so they don't want to be putting their names forward and so on. But that's the information I've been given, is that some can do it and some can't do it. Probably more can't do it than can. That this is available in a lot of ambulances, certainly in the metro area, and they don't have the ability, even though it's there, and would be quite capable. As a matter of fact, there's some people who perhaps worked as a paramedic in Alberta, I'm told, who would have had the training, would have administered it in Alberta. Now they're in an ambulance here, and because they don't have that right designation for Newfoundland, they can't administer it. That's what I've been told.
God, can you imagine?
Very concerning.
Can you imagine being in that position to know the difference, to know how to use it, to see somebody who you absolutely are certain requires it, and potentially they could expire because you're not allowed for fear that you would be, in court and perhaps in jail or lose your license, etc. It's just...
Well, this is the information that's been provided to me, and so I would just like the minister to provide some clarification on those issues, because if that is the case, then that's very concerning to say the least. And I think that all first responders, as a matter of fact, in a lot of jurisdictions, I'm told, even like police officers and so on, it's not just ambulance attendants, but like police officers, because a lot of times they're the first on the scene as well. That they have the training and the ability to do it. And there's not necessarily an injection. There are injections, but there's also these nasal sprays, apparently, that you can use. It's another method of administering it, a different kind of kit. And I'm told that, first responders in other jurisdictions, that, like I said, even police can do it. So, these are important things that I think that need to be discussed, and if they're not in place, they need to be in place. It's fine to have these kits to give to people, and to my mind, that should be a last resort. I mean, to my mind, it still should be 911, particularly if you're in an area where, an ambulance is only a couple of minutes away, and let the professionals deal with it. But anyway, it's fine to put this out there and make these announcements, and it's all good stuff. Certainly if you were cynical, you would say that, all this came out on the day that there was a demonstration, and whether or not, why you would even announce it and say, well, this is what we're going to do, boss. We don't have all the details worked out, and it won't be till sometime later in the fall. I suppose if you're a bit cynical, you could even question why you would announce it at that time. But the point is, if they're doing it, and if something can save lives, it's good. But we need to make sure that all the pieces come together and that we, do it the right way.
Sure, fair enough. I appreciate this. I'll certainly ask the minister when and if I have him on in the near future.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Have a great day.
You too.